If you are looking for inspiration for that pile of old cutting boards, this video is for you. Let's go ahead and jump into project number 1. I grabbed a pile out of my stash and just put them on my desk and kind of went through them just to give myself some inspiration. This really helps me kind of visualize what I might want to do. I ended up grabbing the most grungy looking one. I'm not sure what was attached to this, but this does have 2 holes on the sides. And what I did was add some caulking to the holes. Now you could definitely use wood putty or wood filler for this, but I just used what I had handy. I made sure when I filled those holes that I left them kind of overflowing so that when it dried it didn't shrink down in the holes, and then I just sanded off the extra on the sides. I am so excited about what we're going to use on here, and I'll tell you more about that in just a little bit. But I wanted to add some of this gripper or like a slick stick to the candle holder. I don't know why I added it on the wood piece. It was not necessary. And I lost some footage coming up. What I did with the wood piece was I painted it in white chalk paint. I let that dry, and then I added a generous coat of Mod Podge and let that dry. We're going to be doing the iron-on method with this beautiful napkin. Oh my gosh, you guys, look at that. Now I got this off eBay, and I'm going to try to have links in the description box below. But I wanted to make sure I got almost a whole carrot on there. I love the greens on this, of course. And then the orange carrots, just, I fell in love. So now I put white paint on my board, and you definitely don't have to do that, but I wanted to make sure that my colorful veggies popped. I'm using a piece of like baking paper. You could use parchment paper, and I'm just ironing over that whole napkin, and it's reactivating these dried Mod Podge underneath and sealing that napkin on in a beautiful, smooth, no wrinkle look. Now this cutting board hack is more of a traditional one, but wait until you see the outside of the box ones that we've done in this video. You know we love to do that kind of thing. Once I get this all ironed, we're going to take another coat of Mod Podge and put it all over the top of this napkin to seal it in. You can use the clear wax or any type of sealer you want, or you don't have to seal it. It really depends what you're using it for. But since this is more of a riser piece, I want it to be wipeable, cleanable, that type of stuff. So I'm using that Mod Podge. I'm going to let that dry because I need to sand off my edges really neatly with a little sander, and you have to make sure the napkin dries first on that step. Now you can cut off your edges. There's so many ways, but this is the way that I'm doing it and what works best for me. Once I get all these edges sanded off, I will put a coat of black paint all around the edges to cover the rest of that wood. And for the base, I go ahead and give it 2 coats of this Summer Crush DIY clay paint and seal that. I wanted to do that in green so bad, you all. Look at all that green on there, but I didn't. I went outside of that zone and used orange to help pop the carrots, and I loved it. How I'm going to attach this is using E6000 and just a little bit of hot glue for temporary hold while I get it centered and put something heavy on it to seal overnight. I don't know if y'all can see, but look at the texture in that napkin. When I painted the board white and put the Mod Podge and reheated it, it crackled all of that underneath the napkin and gave it this beautiful texture. I love this. Oh my gosh. Okay, so once I let that sit overnight and seal, I painted the underneath black to finish this piece off. I hope this piece gives you some inspiration. Definitely let me know in the comments section what you think about this piece. I know this is a cutting board project video, but this piece is going to fall into that outside of the box category. I'm using this sort of white and red enamel piece. I went ahead and covered up the berries and holly on this with some white chalk paint. I'm taking this old water pen that I found while I was digging for something special for this video, and I thought I'm going to use this instead of just a paintbrush with water. So I went around the edges and tore all of them except for the top. The top, I kind of curved it when I cut it to fit right below that red enamel line. Doesn't those red mushrooms look beautiful with this enamel wall pocket? Okay, I'm taking my favorite glue stick, Recollections, and just gluing this on. Well, this is not a real big project. I just went ahead and glued it on because we're not going to do the iron-on method or anything like that. Once I get this on here, it does not completely fit, so I trim off the bottom of it that overhangs, and then I go ahead and add just a few different color yellow paints to kind of blend in with the background. Now this is, I think, from Roycycle's bird collage or masterboard papers. I'll try to link this from Aunt Bee's Attic in the description box below. I went ahead and smoothed this out really well, and I am going to seal this with Mod Podge because I used clay paint on the edges of this to blend in that white with the yellow. I took the handles and the little rings off of this because I didn't need them for the project. I thought about leaving those rings, but you'll see coming up that I don't necessarily need those. The second part of this project is going to be gorgeous as well. I'm going to use the same white paint, the same Mod Podge, and we're going to do the iron-on method with this as well. And I'm not going to put a lot of this double work in here. I don't do a lot of repetitive in my videos, so if you ever have questions, put them in the comment section below. I'll be happy to answer them. This is another Roycycled decoupage paper with a big brick background. I will look again and see if I can link this. I love this background. So to make this whole thing or whole project pop, I'm adding this clay paint, the red DIY. I think it's Carnival, or it might be Marquee. I showed you there in the video. A coat of that around the edge, and then I'm going to wax this with clear because this is a wall piece, so it doesn't matter if it's sealed with liquid, and you don't have to wait on the wax to dry. Ooh, and here comes the fun part. Okay, so I'm going to add this pocket to this cutting board background, and I'm using E6000. I'm not using any hot glue because I'm just going to lay it over to the side and let it dry overnight. Oh my gosh, I love this piece. And if you love this one, wait until you see what we do with the next one. Oh my gosh, I'm really excited about this next one. By the way, I just wanted to say hello to everyone. Thank you for being here. Thank you for taking time to watch my videos. I appreciate any likes, comments, anybody who wants to subscribe. Hit that face picture of me at the end of this video and you'll be automatically subscribed to my channel. Hit the bell and you'll be notified every time I upload a video. Project number 3. Oh my goodness, this one is so much fun. So with this cutting board, I flipped it over and used the back because I want to put a beautiful stamp on here. Now I'm using this sunflower stamp from IOD and my black stays on ink. I'm inking this up really good because we are going to be stamping this on sort of dry wood, so we want to make sure there's enough ink. We will re-stamp this and I'll show you that here in a little bit, but for the first part, let's go ahead and just make sure you get it really rubbed on. I use a little brayer and go over it to make sure that ink gets down into that wood. I wanted to play with my watercolors. I haven't used them in a while, so I grabbed my watercolor brushes. I only use these for when I'm doing watercoloring, and I grabbed a couple of my palettes out of here that had the colors that I needed for this project. I know we all have so many different stashes of paints and stuff. You don't need watercolors to do this. You can just water down any color of paint. We're going to do that a little later on in the video on a different project. But to start out, I'm using this watercolor pad, and I went ahead and sprayed my inks to get them, or my paints to get them wet. And I'm going over every leaf with just this light yellow color before I start adding additional colors to it. Now, I'm not waiting till this completely dries. You can, the inks will show up better. I mean, the paints will show up better, but I go ahead and give that a good coat and see how well that shows up. And it's just watercolor. But the point was, I wanted to still be able to see the wood through this. I thought it would definitely give it a different look. So now I'm just adding some darker oranges or yellows. And for the center, I start adding some greens and some browns with little specks of yellow. Now this will fade some once it dries. That is the point of watercolor. It's giving it a hint, still showing the wood come through. If you have watercolor palettes, get them out and play with them. I loved this. Of course, I cut out quite a bit of footage, but I'm still showing you the process. This didn't take long, even though I cut out some footage, didn't take long at all. It was just so easy and fun. And I just did the wet on wet method. In other words, I didn't wait for one layer to dry before I started adding more layers. Once I finished all the colors I wanted in that one palette, I grabbed my metallics. These are Reuben paints. I forget, I think there's another, but I know it's Reuben. And I love these metallic watercolor paints. They are just gorgeous. Just adding some highlights here and there to give it just a little bit more of a unique look. Once I finished all the metallics, then I just re-stamped over to bring those black crisp lines back. Now I will tell you, I lost some footage, of course. I had the worst time with this video. The voiceover I had to start 3 times because it wouldn't save. So I apologize for all the technical difficulties. I take black paint and just edge this. Like I said, I really want that natural to come through, but I also want to make that sunflower and the black on it pop. So I do the edge in black, and then we're going to use a clear gloss coat over this. I feel like with the watercolor, it needs a little bit of gloss to even bring them colors out more. The footage I lost was I painted some snowmen from Hobby Lobby. You get them in a pack, I think, of 4 or 6 for like $2 and something. I did the same watercoloring technique with yellow, flipped them upside down, used wood glue, and made them into legs. Now you can get these at the section in the back of the store near like the glassware. They have a section for crafting Christmas, and that's where I got these. A lot of people use them for legs. Project number 4. Oh, this one was so easy. If you don't stay focused, you'll miss it. I had a few of these bamboo cutting boards. I had ordered these beautiful hooks from Temu. They have them in bronze as well, and some of these knobs. I had every intention of painting this cutting board, but as I was laying these out just to see how they would look, I absolutely fell in love with that blonde wood and these black hooks. So I didn't paint this, and you know, we've talked about this before. You don't have to paint everything to give it an upgrade. We've turned this cutting board into a wall hanger, and it's small enough that I can hang it in a small space in my office to hang like my little sweaters or aprons off of, and it'll match any style. To attach the one that I have for the center, since there's no holes other than the knob hole, I just use wood glue and E6000. For the hooks, where they were kind of hollow backed, I needed to use screws, and then I took some black wax and went over, or black paint, and covered those screws up, and I added a sawtooth hanger to the back of this. Project number 5. This is another easy one. I had to do a junky one. You guys, I need to do a junky video, just a whole video full of junk that I have. This one was already painted a cream color, and I think that I did that a while back. I'm just going to go ahead and go over it with black. Now, I don't really need to paint this center, and I'm not sure why I did it. I guess I just wasn't thinking. But I gave it a good coat of black chalk paint, and then I only sealed the edges of this with just a matte clear coat, and I have that in my description box below. I have this old clock face, and I really wanted to add it to the center because I thought the size was perfect. I found this old brass ship hook in my stash, and I thought this would be perfect just to give this a different look. And I know that gold in the background's a little shiny, but I thought I would add some black wax just to this brass and then wipe it back so it'll leave a little bit of black in the crevices to kind of match with the black on the clock and then on the painted part. Now to attach this clock face, I just went ahead and added some E6000, and that will hold it on there perfect. It's better if it didn't have the paint, but you know, that's the paint's there, so I've not seen any problem with it so far. Of course, I let this dry overnight, and then with the brass hook, I went ahead and used a screw because it was heavy and I just didn't want to depend on glue to hold it to this piece and the wood too. And then once I got that finished, I added a little bit of, I think bronze and gold rub and buff around the edges. And I got a little bit heavy-handed in some spots. And so when I do that, I just grab my clear wax and buff it back. And it's like an eraser with other waxes. So this is just a little junky piece. It's something different in case somebody wants a piece in their home decor or maybe their art studio. And where it has the hook, it's actually functional. So if someone wanted to hang something off of this, it would be great for that. I love putting junky pieces together with different things that didn't come together. It's just so much fun. I hope you guys get inspiration from this one. Let me know what you think about it. Project number 6. I told you I was going to have a lot of fun making this video. I wanted to show you how you can make this same project if you don't have the items I have. So I had this really old used small cutting board in my stash and some Tim Holtz clipboard clips, but I also had some Dollar Tree clips that are magnetic. If you remove that magnet, which it pops right out because it's only magnetized, it's not glued, there's a hole there and you can drill through that with a screw and attach it to anything. And these come in a pack of 4. Plus, you can get the bamboo cutting board to have similar to my cutting board. But I'm going to use my old junky used cutting board and one of these Tim Holtz clips. So if you decided you wanted to make 4 of these for teachers' gifts with 4 clips, you could get a pack of clips for $1.25 and 4 boards for $5. So you would have $6.25 plus tax in 4 gifts. And what I'm using on mine is this old paper pattern pack. Ooh, I had used this for a journal. That's what has holes in the left side as a pocket. But we're going to repurpose it, and I want to put this on the clipboard, but I don't want the clip to cover up the models on the front. So I cut this down and I grabbed some of my vintage receipt copy digitals. Now these digitals are from Shabby Dabby Doodah. If you're a paper crafter, you know who that is. I'll try to link this printable digital in the description box below. I'm using my favorite glue, Recollections, and I'm going to glue the sort of blue invoice thing right there at the top, giving space for my clip, and then add the models from the pattern pack underneath. And I love how these go together so well because there's baby blue, like the color of these invoices or old letterheads, in like the one lady has on baby blue jeans. So I go ahead and glue on the wood too because I want to make sure, you know, that I get plenty of contact. I make sure I get everything glued. I cover the whole thing. And I get that smoothed down. I do the same thing with my models paper and get them attached to the board. Another thing I was thinking of, I mean, these could be any kind of gift for anybody. Once you get your pattern down on the board, you could put or stamp an initial, like a large initial of whomever you're giving this to, right on top of the pattern. I mean, it would look really cool. I will tell you, I go ahead and wax over this, but really the best thing to do is to give this either a good coat of Mod Podge, maybe a couple coats, so it can be wipeable. So we've gotten both of them on there, and there's going to be an overlap, and we're going to do the same technique we do with any type of paper. Even though this technically is not wet and needed to dry, it's still going to work. I'm going to sand all the edges off of this, and I sand them all the way around and get the wood showing through, and I love that distressed look. That's not what I thought it would look like, but it's gorgeous. To add more blue to this, I take my Sea Haze Folk Art chalk paint. I love this color. It is just beautiful. And I go around the edge of this, and I do paint the back that blue as well. Not right now in the video, but I go ahead and finish it off on the back. Now, you could hang a sawtooth hanger on this so someone could hang this up and then clip stuff on it. I didn't. I'm just going to use this myself, or either sell it as just a clipboard. What I love about projects like this is no one else is going to have one exactly like this. No one. First of all, they're not going to have the same clipboard, and even if they do, they're not going, so say if this was a Dollar Tree clipboard, yes, anyone can buy those, but whatever patterns you put on it and mix up, unless someone just copies it, they're not ever going to have the same. You know, and that's one thing I like about using papers and different things. They're just unique. They're unique. Someone will get that and feel like that no one else is going to have it. Even it's just something that's kind of special, and it's really just pennies, because this clipboard set, or this cutting board set, came with like 6 of these mini ones. If you've watched me long, you've seen me use other ones of these in my videos. So it came with like 6, and I got it for free. And then of course the pattern, that was pennies, and then I'm using a tiny piece from One Printable. Now these Tim Holtz clips, I think there's 3 in a pack, and they're like $6 and something. It's been a long time since I bought these, so don't quote me on that. If you love this project, leave me any kind of blue emoji or just the word blue. I absolutely fell in love with it. But wait, we have one more project, and it's one of my favorite too. I really enjoyed making this project as well, and I'm excited to hear what you guys think about this one. Project number 7, oh, it's just so pretty. So I'm using one of these beautiful blonde cutting boards. I'm going to put a wash of this peachy color. I'm not sure what the color is, but I just showed you. It's a Folk Art chalk paint. I'm adding water to it because I just want to give a very light wash over this board so that some of this wood grain can show through. Now, once I do that, I let this color dry. And then I pull out, I'm not sure of the name of it, but I think it comes in a double set. It's a Jamie Ray Vintage stencil. Now you can use any stencil you want. I think these boards are great to stencil for wall art. I think a lot of these put together, like 6 or 9 panels, would make a beautiful large piece of wall art. So don't discount things. Even though they're new, they're not thrifted, you can still upcycle and make over things that are new, so don't forget that. All right, now we've almost got this completely finished. I grab another color of Folk Art chalk paint. It's called Fired Clay. It is so pretty. It's a little bit darker and deeper than, say, terracotta, but it could pass for a terracotta. Once it dries, it dries quite dark. So I got out my stencil. This is a Jamie Ray Vintage stencil. Again, I'll try to have all this linked in the description box below. If I don't, please don't hesitate to ask me, because I don't mind sharing, of course, anything with you all. So I'm just going to stencil over this whole thing, and of course I'm not going to show you all the repetitiveness, but once you see when I pull this off, the 2 colors, it's almost like a monotone. So say you wanted to do a dark blue flower, then you would just do a baby blue background. Or you could definitely flip this. You could do the dark background with the light colored stenciled, and it just looks so classic, I think. And again, I loved making this. So I'll just move this a little closer so you could see kind of how the stenciling looks. Another thing when you're stenciling, if you want this to look a little distressed, don't go over your stencil several coats. Let some of that background show through and it'll look a little distressed, and that's sort of what this one has. But look at that, isn't that beautiful? Now I let that dry and I go ahead on the edges and put that fired clay around it just to make the whole thing pop, and I give it a good wax of clear coat wax. Now wax will harden and be wipeable. I've had those questions. Yes, it does harden. I think it takes about 30 days to cure, and once it does, it won't move. You can wipe it off. Easy peasy. For the legs on this, I have a lot of Stampin' Up! Stamp blocks that have never been used. So in other words, they didn't mount the stamps on them. So I'm going to use these cute little shaped, they're kind of square, but the edges of them are kind of beveled in. And I think these just go so well with the shape of this cutting board. Now I'm painting my legs the fired clay again to give that dark color, kind of bring the whole piece together. I'm using wood glue. Wood glue, when you're gluing wood on wood, oh my, you cannot pull these things off. You'll rip part of the wood off trying to get them off. Trust me, I know. So that's why I'm using wood glue on these. Let me know what you guys think about this one. It definitely was one of my very favorite that I did. And look at that bird on there. Doesn't that just look gorgeous? If you enjoyed this video, give it a like, comment below, and subscribe to my channel. I appreciate you all very, very much. And I will see you real soon in the next video.